ELA W week 20. And this will be Friday's lesson. I guess, I'm not sure of the day. I should be better at saying what day we're doing. But what we are doing today, class, is getting back into our argumentative essay and specifically looking at choosing details. So thus far we have taken a stance, we've made a claim, we've identified reasons for that claim. Most of you, I believe possibly all of you, have decided that the regularization plan of the Dominican Republic is a violation of human rights. Most of us have identified human rights 2 and 15, that is no discrimination, and the right to citizenship as the two rights that have been in violation. And so now we're looking for details that are going to support that claim, support those reasons, and win the argument of our essay. So what we're going to do today, let's have somebody read the aim. Okay, good, Brianna. We will be able to choose the two best pieces of evidence from our research to support each reason. Okay, so I'm going to speak to the class as though we are all looking for details to support what we just said, and that is human rights 2 and 15 according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And if you're on the other side of the aisle, if you're saying, well, actually it's the 7th right, or it's the no, I think that's no torture, but whatever you've identified, if you're looking for something else, then you're just going to understand that what we're doing, you're going to follow the same formula for finding your details. We should also be on page 20 of our packet, so we accessed that at the beginning of the class. So let's turn there, and we're going to look at the types of strong evidence here on page 20 of our packet. So what's the first type of strong evidence that we could offer? Johan, confirmed facts. So anytime that we see facts given within a text, that's going to be a great indicator of something that we can use as a detail. Remember last week when we did the reading, the text that was about the teaching Nepalis how to read, write, and vote. Most of us use as a detail that fact that over 20,000 20,000 people had been taught to read, and 5,000 people had been 5,000 adults and 20,000 students kids had been taught how to read. We use those numbers, that's statistics, that's facts. And anytime we can use facts to support our argument, that's probably the strongest thing we can do. What's another thing that we could do? Number 2 says statistics, and I guess what I just said is actually more of a statistic than it is a fact. They're one and the same, but anytime you can throw in numbers, and I believe that if you've seen any numbers in the text that we've read so far for the argumentative essay, yeah, there's numbers in those texts. Use them on your side to win your argument. Because all day you can give your opinion and say, it's human rights violations, human rights violations, but it's stronger for you to say, actually 5,000 people have been displaced from their homes. That is a human rights violation, and then the reader is like, oh, well, it's not just an opinion, I guess there's facts to corroborate this. And then the third type of evidence is what? Good scarlet, and that is research by experts. So research is done by professors, researchers, doctors who have a deep knowledge of the topic, always found in credible and reliable sources. Cha-ching, credible right there. And so does that mean that anything that anybody says is research by experts? It's not. And so, like, there's a difference between research by experts and some of the quotes that you're including from, like, witnesses or just people that are involved in the situation going on in the DR. So, for instance, some of us that are using, here's an example, some of us are using text from the ambassador, who in that third text gives his sort of like defense of the regularization plan. Would the ambassador to Haiti be considered an expert? I think we could well say that he is an expert. He's foreign relations diplomat for the country. Yeah, that makes you an expert of your field. He's biased, we've discussed that. He has an agenda because he works for the government, but he is an expert of the facts. So if you were trying to defend a stance and you used him as your researcher, as your evidence, that would be a credible witness. So let's read through these bullet points now. Select the 2 strongest details to support your first reason. We're going to be working our own to find that very soon. Strong details, let's look through this bullet point list. Let's have someone read the first. Okay, Giovanni, support the claim and reason. So yeah, make sure that your details are in line. You're going to be in a big mess pretty soon if everything isn't in line. Your claim, your reasons, your details. because otherwise your work doesn't make sense and the reader can tell. Second, are credible, like the types of evidence listed in the notes. So what we just looked through right here, confirmed facts, statistics, and research by experts, those are credible details. It is not a credible detail to say, I think that, or it's probable that. That's not how we do it. We need to make sure that we're grounded in the facts and the research. Are specific. We want to be as specific as possible, and that's why oftentimes we'll tell you to cut out part of a quote that you find. Raise your hand if Mr. Vries or myself has come to you and said this is too long, let's make it shorter. Because we want specificity. We want you to be as narrow as possible in what you're taking from the text and your argument. And then lastly, contribute a unique idea to the paragraph, meaning they are not repetitive of one another, nor do they solely repeat the reason in different words. Yeah, that's another thing, is that a lot of times we'll say, it's a strong point, I guess, but it's not a very creative way to write, where you'll say, you'll make a claim, and then your reason will say exactly what the claim says, and then your evidence will say this reveals, and then you just say the same thing over again. Make sure that we're looking for different pieces of evidence that can all prove the same point. Look, we're all trying to get to the same point. We're all trying to win our argument, and we've told you many times, like, it's good to repeat yourself by paraphrasing, but make sure that you're not just saying one thing over and over and over again.